Hi, everyone. I'm Emily Price, the Executive Director of Healthy Birthday, Inc., the nonprofit that created the Count the Kicks public health campaign. And we are so thrilled to have author Rachel Macy Stafford here with us today, who is launching her book today, Live, Love Now. You remember her from being at Every Woman Counts just a few years ago. Rachel, how are you?
Hi, Emily. I'm doing really well. Thank you for having me and celebrating this book today.
We want to learn more about it. Tell us more about Live, Love Now.
I would love to. So, this is what it looks like. It's a beautiful book. Um, and this book was inspired by my visits to classrooms across the nation. Kind of by accident, I started getting invited to come into middle school classrooms about 2 years ago to talk about being an author. But my background is special education, so it felt really appropriate to actually connect with the kids and not just talk at them. And they were really interested in not so much like my career, but the topic of what I write about, which is letting go of all the distractions in our life so that we can really be in tune with our heart, be in tune with each other, and just how do we cultivate a meaningful life when the world is just so distracted, so pressure filled. And I noticed how they were really leaning into that conversation. And so on a whim, I asked them, if you could give the world one message, what would it be? And I passed out index cards, and I was absolutely amazed at the truth that they shared with me. And some of them were hard to read, actually. The kids of the modern world are dealing with a lot of stressors, a lot of pain, a lot of pressure. And as I began, just kept going into classrooms, asking those questions, collecting those cards, it became really clear to me that I needed to share this information. And that is how Live Love Now was born. And I just really want to offer some really practical tools to parents and educators about what our kids are telling us they need to thrive, and that there's great hope that the gap is not too wide, that we can still reach each other.
One of the things it says in the description of your book, it says one of the things that the youth of today need now is not taskmasters, they need truth tellers.
Yes.
This is obviously a pretty scary time for many of us.
Yeah.
How do you tell the truth in a day like this when the truth is so scary and hard at times?
So my definition of a truth teller is someone who lives an authentic life, who doesn't wear masks, doesn't pretend to be someone that they're not, who lives by their truth. Because the way of the world is to hide your true self, to fit in, to belong, but that is not a fulfilling life. And so, what many of the kids were telling me is, I am not the person that my parents want me to be, and so I am a failure. So that was where the truth teller was born. Although what you talk about is, how do we talk about the uh, the complexities of the world with our children in a way that doesn't scare them or taint their view or make them feel overwhelmed or hopeless. And it's very interesting because in the intro of the book, I talk about my daughter Natalie at age 4 would ask me the same question every night. And she wanted to know, what is something bad that happened in the world today, Mom? And I just felt so strongly that I needed to give her truth in a way that she could understand. Um, and so I used words that were at her level, and I didn't hide the truth from her about how there were people suffering and what we could possibly do to ease that suffering. And her response was so hopeful. Like, it didn't scare her. It made her feel like, oh, maybe my purpose is somewhere in the mess. And the book follows her journey from this time of being a 4-year-old to, me giving her the truth in small bits that she can understand, and growing together through this bedtime ritual that we had, to see how that's taken her to being a 16-year-old, what I call wanderer, because she will go into situations, to places in the world that other people would shy away from. And so I think it's a really beautiful thing to be able to talk to your children, keeping in mind what is their tolerance for uh, for things that might be scary. My second born daughter is much more sensitive. I would not have the same conversations that I would with Avery that I have with Natalie. Now, as Avery has grown, we're starting to see what her purpose in the pain of the world. And I think that is the important thing about when we talk to our children about the reality of the world, is to convey to them, you are here for a reason. You have a purpose. You have a gift that the world needs. And that speaks to so much of the pain that I received from the middle schoolers on the index card exercises. And that is, I don't know why I'm here. And when you don't have a sense of purpose, and you feel meaningless, you're going to have anxiety, you're going to have depression. So that all just is interconnected. And so I do strongly encourage families to balance out the negativity that they're feeling when they watch the news. Definitely don't have the news on all the time. And you can decide if you think it's appropriate for them to hear. Even our teenagers, who we think, ooh, they can probably handle this. This is a lot. It's overwhelming, and there's so much uncertainty. You can't say, well, this is okay, we have a vaccine, or this is what, because we don't know. So I just want people to be really aware. I think it's super important to ask questions rather than just giving them information. You might say, well, tell me, what do you know about coronavirus? Gauge what they know, maybe what they want to know. A mistake that we often make is thinking that our kids are feeling the same way we are about things. And it's not helpful to do that. You don't want to project your feelings onto your child that they may not be experiencing. So go into these conversations thinking, I'm going to be a listener. I'm going to not be a talker. I'm going to let my child lead this conversation, and then I'm going to give them the tools or the information that I feel is appropriate to give them.
That's fantastic advice.
Thank you.
I think it's heightened importance on the importance of connection right now, because we're all separated. We're confined to our homes with our families, and there isn't a lot of that in-person connection right now. So how are you staying sane? How are you navigating without that human connection as much a part of our lives right now?
Yes. So also in my book, I talk about the importance of having a place of refuge. Our kids live these maxed out lives that are similar to the ones we live. And so it's very, very important to think, does my child have a place where they can go and breathe, where they can go and not be judged or graded or evaluated? Can they go to a place and just feel at ease in their refuge? That is what our coping strategy is at my house, is we're talking about what brings us joy, what brings us peace. We are all different. I like to take long walks. That's my refuge. My kids see me doing that. I'm modeling how I'm coping with the feelings of stress and fear and uncertainty. I'm walking, I spend time praying while I'm doing that. I listen to music. My daughter, Natalie, is 16 and she started a garden. Gardening has always been something that she loves, but she hasn't had time to do it. So that was the first thing she did when the quarantine started, was start a garden. Avery always gravitates toward music. She's a songwriter, she's a guitarist and a beautiful voice. So she's writing music. And when it's appropriate, we invite each other into these spaces, into these refuges. Now, when I talk about inviting is one of the key strategies that I talk about in my book, because as our kids grow and they gain independence, they don't always want to do things with us. And we might say, hey, I'm getting ready to do a puzzle. Do you want to do it with me? No, not right now. It's very important that we don't take that personally and we don't get offended about that. I might have asked my daughter a week ago 10 times for different things that I was doing that were my refuge. I'm getting ready to bake. I'm getting ready to paint. She did not want to do it. No, no, thank you. I could sense her drifting and getting a little withdrawn. And part of me wants to control that and say, no, you have to do this. But we need to remember that we're all processing so much right now. And the best thing we can do is have love and acceptance for each other. So I just kept asking each day something new. Finally, on the 5th day, she said yes to baking a cake with me that I had made with my own mom. And it was a beautiful moment of connection. So we have to remember, when we invite people to have these moments of connection that will restore us, that are not related to the screen, they're not related to anything that's evaluated, it's just all just about places of peace. We have to remember that when you try to control that and you say, well, I'm inviting you, but only if you come this way, that's not a true invitation. So it's helpful as you're going through this quarantine time, and you might say, I need time alone. And that's my refuge. It's okay. We need to model for our kids, how do we get through this unprecedented time that we've never had to face? How do we get through that?
That's more great wisdom. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Would you mind showing us your book one more time? Again, it's out today. Live, Love.
Yeah.
It's available on Amazon and other places, right?
Yep, correct. That's right.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us today from Inside Your Home. Is there anything else you would like to share with us before we go?
I just want to give people just a little encouragement that if you're feeling overwhelmed, just stop and just check your expectations, because we tend to expect more of ourselves than we should. We tend to hold that bar really high. And what I like to ask myself is, am I showing up? And am I offering love? Did I offer love today? Did I show up today? That's really the only thing that you need to worry about right now, because our children's mental health is much more important than the skills and the academic progress that they're making. Mental health, our well-being. Did I love? Did I show up? That is all you need to focus on right now.
Rachel, we loved having you here 3 years ago for Every Woman Counts, and it was really awesome to be able to spend time with you today. We wish you best of luck on your virtual book tour for now.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you again, and we'll see you soon.
Okay. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.